not the Mississippi. I thought it was the Mississippi, but it's actually some other river that they dammed up. I'm here in Jackson, Mississippi. Well, it was a little bit disappointing. I thought there was going to be like my face plastered everywhere, and just a big sign saying "Welcome to Jackson, Jackson," and here, take all this fried chicken and all these hookers and smoke this hookah. But it was not much here. So I stopped at this reservoir to eat my lunch, and now I'm going to the Mississippi Craft Center, which apparently is a tourist attraction dedicated to people who like to craft. Who knows what will be in there? And today I think I've reached the point now where I'm really in the South. Like for instance, today I was trying to find the reservoir, and I went through a couple of small communities, and now not only are all the houses just kind of falling apart, but you get to see the irony of the American dream in all its glory. So like I saw a house that like half of it was just falling down, like pretty much half the house was just unusable, and there's a big grill on the front lawn with trucks parked all over it, and there's some poor-looking people with wife beaters on, and they had parked their huge SUV that was just perfectly shining and glittering with chrome, with some of the biggest, most expensive looking spinning rims I've ever seen. That's an interesting contrast. That's very American. That's good to see. So now I'm on my way to Louisiana tomorrow, and hopefully take a ride in a hovercraft. What you just witnessed was my first impression of Nawlins, and let me tell you something. Well, Nawlins is fucking crazy, which I will show you in a second when I walk down Bourbon Street again, because the first time I walked down it, all I could do was stare in amazement and light up a cigarette and say, man, I wish I put on my suit. But yeah, it's very wet here, and I think I finally figured out what all my nostalgia of New Orleans is from. And I felt it as soon as I walked into the French Quarter. The whole place just reeks of bourbon and sex and cigarettes and cigars and old sailors. It's quite amazing. I'm going to take a walk down there, and my camera's getting wet, and I'll show you what I saw. Alright, here we go down Bourbon Street. Live acts, men and women.
I told you about
bad it's closed. A few thoughts on Nawlins. Well, first thought is I never really understood Mardi Gras until today. I didn't understand. I mean, I knew it was just like a big party, but I didn't realize that you pack, thousands of people on those tiny little streets with those balconies, and then they drink profusely and smoke and yell and scream and take their clothes off. That's gotta be something to see. And secondly, I'd say New Orleans is probably the rawest, most honest city I've ever been to, and this can be seen in the kids, the young locals that are here. Now, hipsterdom, I guess that's the right word. I don't think it's made it this far. I've seen a few hipsters, but what you actually see, what's popular now, it seems, is like I don't know, maybe 7 years ago in Uptown, you had the Uptown kids who were like, there's these dirty kids. They're like dogs. They had dogs, and they rode bikes, and they smelled terrible, and lived in dumpsters, and they didn't shower, and they're crusty. The crust punks, and the crust punks kind of turned into the hipsters. But here, the local kids around the French Quarter, they are so dirty and nasty. They just don't give a fuck. Living under the railroad tracks. It's just insane. But for some reason, I can't help but like them, because they go with the city. Like, it makes sense that there's just a bunch of really dirty, stinky kids drinking beer and booze everywhere. That doesn't really make sense in Minnesota. It makes sense here. There was one crusty man who jumped on the train and started screaming and yelling and just going wild while riding this train, and he was half naked and full of tattoos. It was pretty cool. Third order of business is the accent. And I've noticed that in Nawlins, down south, pretty much they like to use only 2 syllables. So if the word has 3 syllables, like New Orleans, you don't say New Orleans, you say Nawlins. And if the word has 1 syllable, then they kind of draw it out so it has 2 syllables. And in Nawlins, you can lose money if you don't know where you got your shoes at. So, in Nawlins, someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, where you got your shoes at? I'll give you $5, or you give me $5 if I can tell you where you got your shoes at." And of course you say, "Well, there's no way he can tell me where I got my shoes at." And so you give him $5, and he says, "Man, I know where you got your shoes at. You got your shoes on your feet, and you got your feet on the street, and that street is Bourbon Street. That's where you got your shoes at." I just saw ScuttleButt's Gentlemen's Club, and I'm really tempted to go back. But I don't know, I'm pretty deep into Bayou country here. It might be kind of freaky.